Good morning, good morning. I think I start every single one of those like that. Maybe I should come up with a different sort of like greeting. Who knows? Anyway, this is July Coffee and Chat with Kate, and today we are going to be with Maddie. I've just seen you've joined. Brilliant, and Gabor Gyorfi, sorry. And it's just the monthly hello and chat time. And oh my word, everybody is so on it this morning. Wow. Was I a bit late? Sorry, hang on. Right, let me get everybody in. The war is coming from non-UK. Come on, people. Accept.
Oh dear.
Are we feeling a bit landscape today or portrait? There we go. That was brilliant. Hang on, I now need to, whenever I do this, I suddenly realise that you then need to adjust because you end up in the top sort of the screen.
Yeah.
A little bit low. 1 second, people. Just sorting out a couple of technical issues. I love how prompt you both were. It was amazing. Thank you.
iPads are not.
There we go. Right, good morning. Have you two met? This is sexy, and this is also why I absolutely love doing
Good
these.
morning.
Because I find that more often than not, they're some of our more recent ArtCan artists, and they haven't yet met, but then there's always something that's a synergy or a conversation that when you then do get to sort of meet in person or share an exhibition opportunity, you're like, oh, it's you, and then you sort of, oh, it's just really lovely. So all of these things have these extra sort of levels of connection and conversation, which I just really love. However, it is very relaxed, it is very gentle, it is just a lovely way to start a Saturday morning. So for those who are just joining and don't know about these, the last Saturday of each month, I invite a couple of ArtCan artists to have a chat with me, because it's also a way that I get to find out a little bit more about their practices and processes and plans and what's going on and inspirations. And yeah, as I just sort of said, it sort of connects it all together, and it's just a nice way of starting a Saturday. So today we have Maddie Webb and we have Gabor Gyorfi. Is that how I pronounce your surname, Gabor?
It's actually Gyorfi, but it's really hard to pronounce.
So. Thank you. Always make sure I do that. So yes, thank you both for joining me. Maddie, first off, did you have a gorgeous holiday? Oh, I think you might have frozen. Have I got to get you back in again? Hang on, let me try that. Like, she's very professional. She's not cracking a smile. Yeah, hang on. Let's try that one again.
Back in the room.
Yay, back in the room. I love it. I was like, you're so pro. It's like, just not moving. I was like, okay, she might have frozen. Right. So yes, did you have a lovely holiday? Oh, good.
I did. Thank you. Yeah, we got back quite late last night.
Sorry to have got you up very early. Yeah. It's actually not that early, but anyway, it's lovely that you're able to still make this. Thank you. Okay, great. So without further ado, let's crack on with a series of questions, and then as usual, you guys have hopefully come up with some curveball questions for me at the end, which is always quite good fun. Gabor, maybe start with you. When did you join ArtCan and why?
I joined last November, and I think it's just the usual thing. I was a little bit isolated as an artist in London. I have a daytime job, and these environments are not designed to really connect with people in this field. I just have a lovely little story that I worked for a company. I was a software engineer, I was a project manager, and we worked together for almost 2 years. Then I resigned, and literally on my last day, I went to the next door bookshop where I met this project manager girl, and she said that, okay, this is my hiding place. And we started a conversation, and it turned out that she was an artist. And I just didn't know that, and she didn't know about me. And so, and ArtCan is I think a fantastic place to connect with other artists and also have some opportunities as well. So this is why.
It is actually that simple, and it is actually that lovely. And it's great. We had so many new artists join at the end of sort of last year as well, and that sort of extra sort of conversation and sort of level of connectivity that every time there's new artists coming in that it brings just means that it is this constant sort of organic process of growing and immersing yourself amongst a society that is focused on sort of art and able to support you and also understand you as a contemporary artist as well. So yeah, it's great having you on board. Thank you. Maddie, same question for you, if that's okay. Were you November as well?
Sure.
No. Yes,
Yeah.
you were.
I was, yeah. I joined in, yeah. I joined, I think you had quite a big influx of new members in November, yeah. So yeah, I joined in November on the recommendation of our fellow Midlanders artist, who Andy Farr, who's one of your members as well. So he recommended to join. And yeah, just for all the same reasons, really, to kind of network and to get to meet other artists and to become aware of like different opportunities that there are.
Good. I love it. It's brilliant. So actually on that note, I keep getting emails like going, when's the next application window open? Now it is September. So 1st of September, you'll have the opportunity, if you are interested in joining this rapidly growing and brilliant international community of artists, then 1st of September, head to the website and all the details are there. So let's delve in a little bit further into your sort of practices and inspirations, and Maddie, we'll stay with you first if that's okay.
Sure.
But yes, what's your sort of medium, your processes, your inspiration? Tell us.
Okay, so I'm a contemporary abstract artist. I'm originally from Scotland, and I do visit quite regularly. So that's, I'm interested and inspired by the landscape around me. So a lot of my work has been previously about memories of growing up by the sea in Scotland, but then also inspired by places that I travel to as well. Yeah. And it's all the kind of interesting things that I notice about the landscape. So, advancing rain or mist, the ever-changing kind of light that you see when you're in different parts of the world. So I kind of paint abstracted sort of landscapes, and I also do abstracts as well.
Yeah.
I paint very intuitively as well. So even though I do use reference such as photos and direct stimulus, I do also paint very intuitively as well. Yeah.
Do you have your own sort of studio space where you live, or is it where do you paint?
Yeah, so I live in Leamington Spa in Warwickshire. And I have a studio space that I've had for about 3.5 years, which is really lovely. It's in a local gardens and park. So the immediate surroundings is like a constant sort of force of inspiration as well. And I'm also really lucky that I have a sort of second studio space because I co-manage a gallery in Leamington as well, a pop-up art gallery. So it's
Should we be talking?
Yeah. So I'll kind of shout out and say hello to some of our members because I noticed some of them joining. So it's called the LSA Art Room. And it's all run by volunteers, so all local artists as well. So it's a really good, exciting kind of venture, and I do have a small studio space in there as well.
How exciting. That's brilliant. Oh, I love it. But then this is another indication, like the ripple effect of sort of one artist who is currently an ArtCan member then connecting with you to then sort of join, and then that sort of ripple effect out is just exactly how ArtCan has organically grown. And that's something I've really loved about it, because it means it's very genuine, as opposed to sort of forcing, sort of groups to sort of get together and you must chat or anything like that. And it's all ended up being that really nice, quite gentle actually process, but it means, like I say, it's actually really genuine.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Gabor, over to you. What about your sort of inspirations, processes, practices?
Yeah, I'm a figurative painter, and I'm really fascinated with human faces. So drawing and sketching people is an everyday thing for me, and usually this is the inspiration for the next level or step. Somehow it looks like I what I can do is to distract disturbing features from human faces, which is, I don't know if it's good or not, but this is what is happening all the time.
An
And
element of caricature in that respect.
yes, but a caricature is just funny many times, and I see on my caricatures or faces they're just disturbing, even for me.
Oh, okay,
I'm
yeah.
not sure I like it, but this is what happens. So
It's
it's
what you
happening all the
extract.
time. Yeah,
Interesting.
and I'm very much interested in society, and through these faces, I would like to understand how things are working around me. I try to find answers for probably other disturbing questions with it. It's not always working though, so sometimes I just realize that personal things getting through these paintings, but on the technical side, I always start with these drawings and sketches, and I have a method to put these drawings. I do it digitally to put it on canvas and then continue with acrylic and oil
Yeah.
at the end. So
And
this is how.
has it always been faces and features as a conversation about society, or is this a phase that you're currently in and you're sort of something else might
Yeah, it's
end
a
up
very good
coming? I'm curious.
question. It's a very good question because early in my career, I was I did a completely different thing. I did computer installations. I was very much after ontological questions about life and about human beings. I was not interested,
Mm.
and this really started later, and it started how the world changed around us or around me, and I I don't really know how long will it
Yeah,
go on, but at the moment I'm still my interest is still here. So
still exploring it. I love it.
yeah,
I think the adaptability of an artist to society and also what they individually are sort of wanting to sort of answer and explore, to use your own sort of tool, as it were, and whatever that is. That's why writers, anybody who's sort of expanding something externally to them is always going to have an element of reflecting where they are at that moment in their own personal sort of trying to survive in this crazy weird world that we sort of live in. And I think recognizing that is able to change and could potentially change, but there's no sort of pressure on it, is actually a really good point to get to as a creative, because it then frees you up to just actually be, as opposed to sort of thinking I must answer that question, or I must do this, or I must do that. And I think as soon as you release that sort of pressure, then actually the process becomes actually really quite free, and those answers might sort of almost subconsciously sort of come through and answer, and you just feel like you're growing through your own practices. I think we're really
Yeah.
lucky actually as creatives to have that as our tool in, and it's not quite the right word, but
Yeah,
hopefully you know what I mean.
definitely. I do agree completely. I think when you almost stop over analyzing, what you're doing and the processes, and you just become more free, that's when things start to kind of click
Yeah,
into
yeah,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you both for that. So are you involved with any ArtCan exhibition? Have we got anything on at the moment? Oh, Paris, I suppose, is current. We're in the middle of a sort of summer lull before the whole autumn season kicks off and does crazy things.
Sure.
But Gabor, you were in our 10 by 10, the small exhibition at Hampstead Studios, and that was lovely. And we did a series of artist talks as well, and I remember you shared quite a lot there as well, which was really lovely. And I think adding in talks to our exhibition programs is something that we want to sort of keep sort of building on going forward. So yeah, are you actually involved with anything at the moment?
I don't think I am at the moment. I think I was waiting to hear back maybe from one of the exhibitions that I did apply for. Was it the home one?
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
they're still, all submissions are being because we extended, I think, the deadline to that, and then everything's being
Yeah.
looked at the moment. So
Yeah.
how exciting! You've applied for that, brilliant.
Yeah, and you I think this Shard one is still ongoing potentially, or is
No,
that?
you should
Yeah.
have received an email about that one
Yeah.
actually, Maddie. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully.
because that's everything's sort of slightly on pause with that at the moment. So we're waiting to have a meeting with them later in the year to sort of see what the program is potentially with them going
Cool.
forward. That's the thing, everything sort of does slightly ebb and flow, especially during the summertime. So I need to make sure we do a proper roundup for everybody. Give me a hint. I should probably do that. Yeah. So what's going on then for you, sort of artistically outside of the ArtCan world? Gabor, what are you up to at the moment?
It was a very busy spring, so I was in 3 different exhibitions, and usually in September I kind of restart. I don't know. It's from my
Is it funny?
school
Whatever
year.
age you are, it's always the back to
Yeah,
school feeling is
yeah,
still there. I'm sorry.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And so in September, I just try to more freely experiment with things, do quicker paintings, and just collect ideas and to set out a kind of program for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So this is what will happen this September, I guess.
Yeah. And do you have some summer holiday plans?
Oh yeah, I will go to Canada.
Oh, how amazing!
Montreal, first time in my life. So.
I've
That
never
sounds.
been. That'd be
No, I
great.
haven't.
Yeah.
I've been, so yet.
Well, make sure you take photos, share, and everything. I love it. We've got some quite exciting international plans for ArtCan, and we're sort of hoping that by 2025 we'll be able to do some sort of placement sort of residences with sort of various different hubs around the world that would just make it much easier for artists to sort of almost do like a studio swap or something like that. And so yeah, and if we can manage one in Canada, I mean, this is why I'll end up probably hopefully traveling a lot, which would be nice. Though I always worry about the carbon footprint and everything like that, so we should probably use our collective mind to sort of work out ways of making sure that our footprint is as light as possible on this poor suffering world. Mother Nature, bless her. Maddie, what are you up to at the moment?
So I did have a piece of work in the RBSA gallery in Birmingham that just finished. That was in the summer show. I have a piece on display at another local gallery in East Midlands, a Tarpey gallery.
Oh, okay.
Run by Luke Tarpey, yeah. So so that's another open. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What have we got coming up here in Leamington? We have a little sort of arts festival, which is next weekend, called Art in the Park.
Oh wow.
So my studio that's in the local park where the festival is. So we'll be opening our studios for next weekend or weekend for that, and that's really cool. It's all kind of like local creatives again that come together, and there's like music performances, lots of art, and it's free to come along as well. So it's a really good weekend. Last year it was during the heat wave. So it was a bit crazy. So I'm hoping the weather's not too hot this year.
No. I think if anything, it might be slightly damp. It just seems to be very wet.
So maybe some wellies and some umbrellas and stuff like that.
But, wants to go and look at things inside. Yeah.
It's always a really good atmosphere as well. What coming up? I just had, when I was on holiday, I had a commission request come through by email, so I'll be looking at that. And then just again, same as everyone, every artist kind of resetting and kind of refocusing. I'm also coming to the end of my first year. I'm studying an MA at the moment, so I'm coming to the end of my first year of that. So I've got a final piece of work to submit, and then I'm gonna relax.
I always thought, actually, again, people were asking me, it's like, so I did fine art painting as a BA. And at the time, I mean, I loved it, but I don't think I quite took everything I probably should have done from that moment in time, just because actually of my sort of age and maturity and experience at that moment. And I've always thought how amazing it would be to go back and do that again, and then immerse yourself in that process of learning with the actual understanding and maturity of knowing what you could actually gain from it and develop. So I'm always really envious when people have gone on to do.
It's been a long time since I've been kind of in that education sort of zone. And a lot of things have changed because it's largely an online course that I'm doing. Based on the principle that I guess you have your own studio space and you've been practicing as an artist for a little while. But yeah, just even getting to grips with all of the online kind of learning platforms and being out of that loop of researching and reading and
learning a whole new set of skills, as well as trying to remind yourself of how to be in that world again. Brilliant.
But it's thoroughly enjoyable though.
I bet it is. I bet it is. A little bit envious. You've sort of reminded me also that we have a lot of our artists who do have sort of open studios, and the summer is really sort of busy, and it's just there are so many. And I think it would be great, I think, internally for ArtCan if we can sort of get a ArtCan sort of map and also timetable, because then if people wanted to do like a tour in whatever region or wherever it is, then I'm pretty sure that you could like go for a weekend and you can like find a really cheap Airbnb and as a group and then sort of do a couple of little sort of places and visit all the different artists. I think it'd be a really nice thing to do.
That's a great idea. That is a lovely idea.
2024, here we come. I'm holding that thought. Don't worry. I just think it would be really lovely. I think it also then means that people can physically connect with people who are local to them, as well as it just being about the sort of online connection, which I think we're all realizing is the online is amazing, and it's something that I couldn't do this chat with you two unless we were actually able to have this opportunity and technology to do it. And on an international level, I will always embrace it and think it's the most amazing thing ever. But you can't then sort of beat that day-to-day in-person sort of connection as well. It's so important.
Completely agree.
We sort of missed it from post sort of pandemic, but now we sort of now need to make sure that that sort of hybrid model is actually nurtured from both sides and really sort of looked after, so that it's not some in some camp and some in another camp. It's actually it's just part of what life now is. Okay. So that's kind of the questions I had for you guys. Thank you. It's your opportunity now to ask me a question.
Sure.
Go on, Maddie.
So why do you do what you do? And maybe there's two parts to this. And what is the most enjoyable part of what you do at ArtCan?
This is for ArtCan.
Yeah.
So I do what I do because I don't really have much choice anymore. Quite frankly, the reason it all started was because I, as a practicing artist, wanted to see new faces at my own sort of private views, and I needed to feel that I was making progress with my connections and then potentially collectors. It might have been quite naive, thinking if I see more people, I'm going to sell more, and then I could just live as an artist. And by putting out a call for art to have a group exhibition, I realized that I wasn't the only one sort of with that need. And also because I was based in London at that time, the international sort of aspect and people seeing it as an opportunity to exhibit without relying on a gallery, actually giving them the opportunity, and also part of a group show, which meant that they weren't having the whole sort of stress of it being a solo show within a city or somewhere where they don't actually have that connection or facility, was actually a really beautiful and brilliant thing. But it did sort of hit a need within contemporary artists. And it shouldn't be about who you know and that sort of moment of luck of being picked up by a gallery, for you to actually have an opportunity to exhibit and to share your story. So I did that first show and it was very successful. And then before I'd even finished it, people were going, well, when's the next one? When's the next one? And I'm not able to say no to things when I see that there's a real need and people actually, it's important. And I think as an artist, our voices are incredibly important in this world, to create that sort of balance and that sort of juxtaposition to the non sort of creative kind of dominance that is often part of the day-to-day sort of society and the business sort of side of things. And I think that sort of us offering that balance is really important. So it just had to keep going, because I've also found that it's not always the best artists or the most sort of passionate and engaged artists that get the opportunities. There's a huge element of luck, and I try and create my own luck in that respect, and I will do everything I can to offer opportunities of luck to other creatives as well. It just happens to be what I feel is really important. So I can't really not do it now, because also that organic process of what ArtCan is just has got a momentum, and it's going to keep on going, and it will keep on going. So I love it. It just has to happen. But it's just something that's now integral to who I am and what it is that I'm doing in this crazy fucked up world, as we've talked about. So there we go. That's that. What I do need to try and balance though, and is my own artwork, and that is something that I did make a conscious decision that I knew it was going to have an impact, that I was offering this as a platform for everyone else, but it is going to get to the point where it's growing so much that it's great, because the trustees and I, we've actually got a really great meeting tomorrow. It's a strategy plan for ArtCan's next 10 years, seeing as this is our 10-year anniversary year, which will hopefully put some more sort of formal structure and business sort of aspects in place. So it means that I can then, in a strange way, look at it in a slightly different way, as opposed to being totally immersed in it, which then hopefully would free up an element of me being able to paint a bit more.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I then have to balance that with the fact I have a full-time day job, because I obviously have to pay my mortgage. So it's like I will just keep the juggle going. But
I know completely how you feel, like juggling like tons of plates constantly, and sometimes it's great because it's exciting and dynamic, but then at other times you do need to kind of step back and carve some time for yourself. Yeah.
It's the balance, and also having a little toddler as well sort of throws an extra
Oh
element
gosh.
into the mix. But he's a rock star, so it's fine. And I do find myself just he'll ask me to draw something or do something, and then you sort of have that moment with him as well, and it's all about mark making and color, and in a strange way that for me is just as creative and beautiful as if it was, you know, me doing it. So there are little moments that I'm getting and gaining along the way. So it's okay. But it will get to the point where I think there's going to be a floodgates open, and I'm slightly scared of actually opening them before I'm able to, because otherwise it will feel very frustrating. But yes, so that's why I do it, and that's why I continue to do it.
Oh,
Did that
thanks.
answer well?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely in awe of everything that you're doing. I think it's such a great organisation.
Thank you. Well, it's all the volunteer. I mean, we are totally volunteer run. So the fact that the artists come on board and then they offer a little bit extra of what they can offer, to be able to sort of add in and build on the business structure. But I've always run it as a non-profit organisation and as a business from quite early on, and that's why I got the board of trustees on board quite early on as well, because I knew that it had that structure, and it was incredibly important to run it like that, because we are not a sort of a community group. We're a huge community, obviously, but we're not just that sort of, you know, humble sort of community group just putting things on a local sort of church wall or things like that. It's for me, maintaining the standard and the caliber is incredibly important, because every single one of our artists is at a standard, and the vibrancy and the conversations are then stronger because we're putting them within that sort of professional setting. So that was something that was a really clear decision quite early on, and I will maintain that all the way through. Gabor, it's your turn.
It's my turn. So actually, thank you for doing this. This is amazing. ArtCan is amazing. But my question is more like for Kate Hunters, the artist. So there is a very nice pop-up vibe with your pieces and works, and here and there actual reference to the 60s pop art. And I'm just wondering, is there any concept behind of it? Is it just something happened unconsciously, or so what is your
it all started from advertising, weirdly. I had interesting sort of conversation with myself when I was a teenager, actually, about what I was being told or sold within sort of advertising or media. And at that point, it was sort of like TV adverts or sort of magazine adverts, that sort of world, against what actually you were able to achieve and be as an individual yourself. And also money got involved, whether or not you can afford things, what your expectation of society is for you as a woman. And actually quite a lot of it when I was younger, it was very much that sort of female advertising. Which then, and I've always quite liked the sort of the bygone eras, because I feel we can have a lot to learn from history. And I did history at sort of A-level and that sort of level, and it felt really important to me that we were actually learning from previous eras, and I don't think we're doing so well at the moment with that. But it was those sort of conversations with history and what the sort of media and that's through you're being fed at that time that then made me sort of explore advertising, which then sort of led on to a certain sort of aesthetic and conversation with my own artwork, which ended up sort of creating this accessible, I hope they're sort of accessible because you feel a bit familiar with them, because it's sort of that pop-up, it's that sort of day-to-day kind of visuals that you're often fed, yet they are offering a moment in time which is not asking anything of you. And it's that which conversation in my own work that I think is that constant sort of thread going through, because I want it to be a conversation that makes you feel familiar, so you can make up your own sort of story with it without me dictating what it is that you're supposed to be thinking and feeling when you look at it. And so I think I'm playing with what society is doing through advertising and media and that sort of feeding you, but taking out that expectation that you're actually supposed to do something about it. So that there's still a lot more in this that I want to explore, and that's why I mean don't open the floodgates, because there's a lot more of that conversation that I think is really important, and I'm looking forward to exploring that more. But that's where it came from, and that's how it's sort of been developing over the time.
It has very similar roots, I understand. Yeah. Thank you. Great.
See, I love talking about my own work. I don't get enough opportunity. Thank you. Because it does remind me of the work that I have done and the work that I know is still to come. And this is for me, it's not really for anybody else, but that's that's nice. Did it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Another thing we're sort of hoping to do is do more crits, because I found as well that as practicing artists, I miss that conversation about my work, because it's through my work does have, I mean, I'm really happy when it goes on a walk and it has its own life and it has its own connectivity with other people looking at it, which means that those conversations start happening, which are actually separate to me. I've just started them by putting something on the up. But then if you take that step back before putting it up for that sort of wider sort of audience and with other creatives, then you find there's the extra bits that you actually hadn't sort of consolidated in your own sort of mind or practices. And then to have those sort of opportunities of learning, I think we all should at every sort of stage in our sort of creative world. We should, I was thinking we could try and do that as well.
That sounds like a great idea, actually. Yeah, I think offering up your art in a kind of safe space for criticism and feedback. It sounds like a brilliant idea. Yeah.
I think lots of people are open to it as well, and I think those that recognize that they are in a process as opposed to a finished piece is actually really important, because I know that there are works that I put up and at the time I was so proud of them, they're brilliant, but actually looking back you're like, that was a step to the next thing, so was that then finished? And that's really nice though, to sort of recognize that it's fine, that's fine, you know. But then having other artists in similar situations, it just gives you confidence. It sort of makes you realize that yes, you know, you're allowed to still explore even if you're finishing works at the same time.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, who knows? We'll see what we can get going. I thank you both so much. This has been a really lovely start to my Saturday and a really great conversation with you both. Thank you for being my July coffee and chatters.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Of
It's been
course.
great.
You have really gorgeous weekends. Everybody that's watching, do be aware that ArtCan has a bit of a down month in August. We do everything we can to give back to our volunteers, and we can do that with some time and space, and everybody needs it, including me. But I will be back at the end of August for the next sort of coffee and chat. And yeah, have great weekends, everybody. Thank you so much again, Maddie and Gabor, for joining me.
Yeah,
So
thank
cool.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
And I'll
Thank
see you in
Kay.
person hopefully again soon, and have a great time in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It does. It really does. It'll be wonderful. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Have good weekends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.